It usually cuts off the first part. Okay, we've got 10 people here, so thanks guys for showing up. I didn't actually post this until this morning, so thank you for remembering we were doing it. This is the May 2024 live stream. As you can probably see, I think in the description, I am in Athens, Ohio. So that's the first thing. I am parked somewhere I'm probably not supposed to be. I don't think they care because it's summer, but just in case the campus police come by later and make me move, just know that might happen. But it is very humid and very hot here, so I am actually in the parking garage under one of the dorms right now. I thought I was going to be able to come at you for the first time in a really long time from an actual building. I mean, technically, I guess this is part of the building, but I would have just got a study room at the library, but they're closed today and tomorrow for Memorial Day. So, I mean, I knew they'd be closed tomorrow, but I just didn't think they'd be closed today. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, okay, just must be sending out notifications. It just jumped up to 13 people. So people are coming in. Haven't seen any comments yet, and that's okay. I'll get to those when they come in. I've got a lot to tell you guys about this month, and I'm going to be doing that just sort of as I'm answering questions and where I can fit it in. Obviously, I have moved, so that's one big thing that happened this month. Hey, Jennifer. Max said I had 2 interviews last week that I was turned down from. I have a BA degree, a Java certification, and 3 IT certifications, and have not ever made more than $20 an hour. Hope things are better for you. Yeah, I mean, that's tough, and it's not just your field. Other people that have certifications in their own fields are having the same problems. It's always hard to get a job, but it's a lot worse right now for some reason. Only thing I can tell you is, just keep trying. I don't know that much about your field, but like, I know there's that thing called full stack, and I think that's where you are specialized in like a whole bunch of different ones. Like different, I don't know enough to talk about it, but basically, if you can, until you can land something, just keep expanding your skills. And eventually you'll get something. Maybe just, it probably won't pay what it should, but at least the more skills you can add, hopefully the better chance you have of them hiring you. Is it Regine? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Says, hope you're doing okay. I don't know about okay, but I'm doing. I'm hopefully moving in the right direction. Okay, yeah, that was the right pronunciation. So yeah, I'm hopefully moving in the right direction. This month especially, I've made a lot of changes in life. I'll talk about that more as we get into this. So let's see. TMUSA says, hi Mark, sounds like you have a big decision to make with your job. It's nice to have choices. Yeah, so based on your comment a month or 2 ago, I did reach out to them. And from the community post, you guys can see that I have a choice between NC State and Indiana. I'll talk about that again more. So anyway, John's here and says, what is the life update? So this is probably gonna just be scattered throughout the stream as I'm answering questions, but essentially the life update is, as of May 10th, I think, 11th maybe, I'm back in Ohio. I traveled from South Carolina to North Carolina to Virginia to West Virginia. I spent one night in West Virginia, and then I went to check on the storage units, and that was a little more than 2 weeks ago now. I stayed the night there one night, and then I came to Athens. And I've been in Athens ever since. Originally, the plan was get myself to Athens. I knew it's a small town in the middle of nowhere, but I know every little secret of every little service that's available, where to get free meals, where to charge my phone when stuff's closed. I have my student account from when I went to OU still works, so like I can reserve study rooms, and I can have access to a lot of stuff here. So it's kind of a safe place for me to sort of regroup. But the idea was I was going to get here, and then while I was here, I was going to start trying to get TaskRabbit jobs in Columbus. The problem, though, is there's just nothing. I've had one request on TaskRabbit, and I turned it down because they wanted me to... It was stupid. It was something like they wanted me to fix one small thing. It wasn't even to assemble a full piece of furniture. And I have on my profile 2-hour minimum, and then they argued with me saying it wasn't on there. So I sent them a screenshot back with it circled. But like, that's the only thing I've gotten. I've run my own ads, nothing. So I don't know what's going on. It should be busy by now, and it's not. So I'm just gonna keep hoping that picks up. But in the meantime, I've just been doing DoorDash and Instacart, which is really not covering everything. I missed my student loan payment this month, and I'm trying to cover this credit card payment that's coming out on Monday. So things aren't great, but I was expecting to have been making a lot better money doing furniture assembly by now, and I guess I'm just going to stay in Athens until I start getting that work. And then at that point I'll go to Columbus, which is sort of the end destination. That's where I'd been planning to go back to. So that's a big part of the life update. What else? I'm just going to say this now because I'm going to forget it later. I'm planning a future video. Well, kind of a series of videos. If anybody has a 2009 Toyota Venza, which it's the SUV, or one that is maybe like a year or 2 years off, either older or newer, whatever year had the same body style, let me know if you do. I need access to one of those videos for, or to one of those vehicles for a future video. I might just have you take some measurements, because obviously, like, you could be anywhere in the world, but I'm probably just going to have you take some pictures and measurements, basically, that I'm going to present later in a video. So, yeah, let me know, especially if you're watching this re-uploaded after the live, and let me know if you have that. Okay, the other life update is that I did reach out to the fraternity, and they, I think, are going to offer me the job. I don't have the contract yet, but I think they're going to. When I reached out to them originally, they gave me, I think, like a few different places I could go to. One was University of New Hampshire, which there's no way. That's like Hoth. Texas A&M, which is going to be the opposite issue, but probably doable. But the only thing is, I'm not 100% sure if my car can even get to Texas. So I have to factor that in to the decision as well. They also said Purdue, Indiana University, and NC State. So I actually I'm kind of conflicted about NC State. And when they asked me which of those I would want to go to, I basically said, well, probably NC State, and I explained to them why about the other ones. My only objection to Indiana really was that it's cold, and I can't do cold. So the thing is, what I ended up doing is I told them, you know, you guys know better what the chapters are like, and you know me, so if you send me to a chapter that you think I'm going to be a good match with and can get along with the guys. And they said, okay, well, of the two, that's going to be NC State and Indiana. But like I said, I had some reservations about NC State because there's a motorcycle. I have my door open just because it's so hot, so you're gonna hear traffic. But basically, I had reservations about going to NC State because you have to understand that's the apartment that I was supposed to have with the girl. And here I am trying to do whatever I'm gonna have to do to somehow in some way move past all of that stuff with her. I don't think that moving into the apartment that we were supposed to live in together is going to help that. Or even living in the city that we were supposed to be in together. I just don't think that would help me. But I mean, if it was a viable job, I was still going to take it. So I told them about that, because they knew they know more than you guys know that was going on with the girl, because they were there when everything kind of fell apart and I was explaining to them why I wasn't moving yet. So don't worry, I will tell you guys all that stuff. Hopefully this summer I'll be able to make videos about all that. But yeah. So, and then the other one they were pushing was Indiana, and there's a bunch of real specific reasons they were pushing that one on me, which I'm not going to get into because it's just a lot of technicalities and stuff. But they think that I would be good for Indiana. Now, here's the deal with Indiana. It is the largest fraternity house that we have, period. There are 78 guys that live in the house, on top of me also having an apartment in the house. So I'm going to have 78 roommates. And that's just a lot. I don't know. I mean, I had one roommate who tried to stab me, and out of 78 guys, there's a pretty good chance one of them is, predestined to do the same. I think the statistics on that would work out. So, that's just so many people. Anyway, the chapter has over 200 people, and I've talked to their chapter advisor, I've talked to my boss, I've talked to his boss, I've talked to, at this point, some of the chapter leadership from Indiana University, and they don't seem to be a shit show like WVU was. So that's going to help issues out a lot. The other thing about it is Indiana obviously is a lot closer. It's almost the same distance away from here as Charlotte was. It doesn't seem like it would be because it's literally just the next state over, but I live clear on the far eastern side of Ohio. So So what I'm gonna do is I have to decide. I think they're really pushing me in the direction of Indiana, and I don't know how thoroughly you guys read the comments on the community post, so you might not know this, but the two options were NC State at $14,000 or Indiana at $25,000. There's no meal plan for NC State. I get 14 meals a week for Indiana. Both the money and the food, that only happens during the school year. So what'll happen is I'll be living there August through May. And then if they renew my contract for a second year, I'm able to stay and keep the apartment. I don't have to move out in the summer. But one, I don't get paid. And two, so for the months of June and July, I don't get paid. And then there's no food. So, yeah. But anyway, how it would work out is it's $25,000 for Indiana, starting in August, and then paying every month through May. It would be $2,500 a month. I'm paid as a contractor, so it's just straight $2,500. And it's paid in one lump sum per month. But that does cover all of my expenses. I mean, it covers like all my monthly payments, but I'm sure it'll also cover like food. And of course I get the apartment free, utilities free, Wi-Fi's free, laundry's free. Yeah. And sorry guys, I know I'm super behind on comments, but I will get to everybody. So that's the thing. I mean, I have some hesitations about some of the stuff, but I think, like, I'm asking them where they think I'd be the best fit. And this is where they're telling me that I should go. And the other difference is it's only 10 hours a week that they expect. Well, like kind of on average that they expect for NC State, but it's 20 at IU, just because there are more guys living in the house, so they're going to create more work. Plus with the meal plan, the deal is if you go to a school that has a meal plan, there's the expectation that you'll take 4 meals a week with the guys. So normally the meals can be packaged to go, or you can, I think they'll just like package it up, put it in the refrigerator in the house, and you can just go get it whenever. But there's like a set meal time, and I am supposed to be at 4 set meal times to eat with them, and just to be seen is what they said. So there is that additional responsibility as well, and that adds a minimum of 4 hours each week that I'd have to do for that. But basically, I mean, none of the scenarios are perfect. Indiana is going to be miserable in the winter. So I think I'm just gonna be a hermit. Maybe I'll buy a PlayStation or something, and I can just do that all winter. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't mean like I'm not gonna accomplish anything, but if I can't go outside and I can't like go hiking or walk around, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. That's what it's been like in Ohio in the winter for me. So I've got to find something to entertain myself. And you guys know I have seasonal depression too, so I'm gonna have to struggle through that. But my goal is, let's do at least 2 years here. Do the 24-25 school year and the 25-26 school year. I'm going to try to get my life together during that time in every aspect, from losing weight, getting back in shape, getting my mind right, going to therapy, cleaning out the storage unit, building YouTube channel, building my business, all of that stuff I'm going to try to accomplish while I have this situation. like, I almost want to call it passive income because it's very flexible about like when I do things. And I'm also working for a fraternity, so you have to understand, like, for the most part, they're pretty laid back about stuff. And yeah, so like, I'm not being rushed on deadlines or anything. The only thing I can really think of is I know every Friday at a certain period of time I have to have a report turned in, but you know, I can write that whenever. And then my boss wants to do a one-on-one FaceTime once a week for, it's like half an hour or an hour. So yeah, I mean, those things I'm kind of nailed down to, but everything else is pretty flexible. So that's the path. What I've done is I've interviewed. I then interviewed with the chapter leadership, including the chapter advisor, who was an old dude. That happened earlier this week. I have not, well, I was going to say I haven't heard from him since. I have. My direct boss asked me to send him my resume, and I sent that. I haven't heard anything back. I think that was to send to the landlord. It's like a complicated situation. There's a bunch of different organizations involved. But anyway, they haven't officially offered it to me, but it sounded like, from what the chapter advisor told me, that he already thought that it was offered to me, so I think they're going to. So let me try to catch up on comments real quick here, and I'll try to fill in anything that I might have just left out of that. Max says, thanks, Mark. I would love to hire you someday. Everyone around me in the DC area is super rich, and I'm the poor guy stuck living with my parents. Yeah, man. I mean, I hope I get my life together and you don't have to hire me, but I appreciate that. It's ironic because I'm in the complete opposite situation. I'm in the poorest county in Ohio, in an area that is poor for two reasons. Number one, I mean, outside of the university, most people here are dirt poor because we're in Appalachia. And then you have the students, most of them are not here right now because it's summer semester, but you have the students, and they're like a special kind of poor because even if their parents have money, most of the students don't. So it's kind of this like great equalizer where nobody really looks down on poor people in this town because everyone's poor. Let me see here. Okay, John says, I used to party at OU many years ago. I had friends who went there. OU, oh yeah. Yeah, actually, if you go up on Court Street, College Bookstore, they sell shirts that just say, oh yeah. Because, I mean, if you're from here, you know what that means. So, I can't find the Harvard on the Hawking shirts anymore, though. They, as far as I can tell, they stopped making them. Because it was that place on Union Street that made them, and then they moved across the street, and then they went out of business. So, anyway, if I had money, I'd get a couple of OU shirts. Oh, that's the other thing. If you guys see this shirt and like how like faded and weird it is, I don't know what is happening. Maybe it's just because my clothes are old, but like a lot of them are doing that, where they're just getting to where they like, I don't know, they're just faded. Oh shoot. We were about to die salute you says, I definitely can relate to the humidity. Yeah, you're not too far away from me. What's weird about the humidity thing is it was hot as hell in South Carolina. And during the day, obviously it was also humid, and I would go like park under a tree to at least have some shade. But man, that doesn't work here. It's like a different type of high humidity. I mean, I'm sitting in the shade. I have both windows down. I have the driver's door open. And I have like, so there's kind of a little bit of a breeze that's going through, but there's like, I don't know, like, I'm just sweating. I cannot stop sweating. Anyway, I'm going to have to, obviously, look, I'm going to have to replace these shirts because they're just getting gross looking. But I think for the first time in my life, I'm going to have to start wearing primarily polyester, which is like the Under Armour or like Nike dry fit kind of clothing. Just for the sheer fact that I can't stop sweating. Maybe it's global warming. I don't know. But the last couple of years, I just can't wear cotton anymore. Okay, wait, where? Oh, John Doe says I'm actually going to Texas A&M this fall. Small world. Are you going as like a student or a professor? I don't know anything about Texas A&M other than when I was making my map for my business, trying to see where there were like IKEA locations. They have I don't think they have a store, but they have a pickup location there. And that was one of my possible target markets for my assembly company to expand to. But that's literally it. And I've been to Texas twice, except that most people say it doesn't count because I've been to Texas twice, but it was just for a layover in the DFW airport both times. Max says, I would choose Texas A&M. Great parties, food, football, and warm weather. Hell, I don't have a job I can go there. Well, yeah, you could, man. So, okay, here's the deal. So, I mean, I wouldn't kind of completely rule out Texas A&M. Main thing for me is I was wondering, like, is it going to be too hot? I like warm weather, even though I'm complaining about it now, but I do like warm weather, especially compared to cold. But I was like, is it going to be too hot? Then I was thinking, well, can my car go that far? I think it can. I think, but I mean, trying not to push it. And then I was worried about like, well, what if I have to travel home for something? And I also, I don't know, the stuff that you mentioned, like, I'm not into football, and I don't know. I just, what in the world? Sorry, I just noticed they updated something. Oh, okay, cool. Let's see here. Oh, I think I've missed like half these comments. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to work my way through them. We Were About to Die Salute You says, you went to Ohio University. I thought you went to that one private college in West Virginia. Well, I went, okay, so the story where I went to college, I got into Baldwin Wallace College, which is where I wanted to go. It's a private school in Cleveland. My parents wouldn't let me, and actually to this day, I've still never, like, gone to the campus. My dad was a professor at the community college. Keep in mind, I was still 17 when I went off to college. I didn't really have a choice. Like, my parents still made all the decisions. So they told me I had to go to community college because my dad was a professor there and it would be free. But then he got himself fired before I went, so I ended up having to pay anyway. And because I lived on the West Virginia side of the river and the community college that he was teaching at was on the Ohio side of the river, I had to pay out-of-state tuition to a community college, which means that I paid more to go to a community college I didn't want to go to than I would have to go to a private school in Ohio where everyone was charged the same because there was no in-state or out-of-state tuition. This is exactly the reason why I have to handle my own finances and not allow my parents to. Okay, so then I went to Ohio University, which is where I'm at now. I went here for 2 years, plus a summer semester. Or, well, we were on quarters back then, but so I went here for 2 years plus, and I commuted at first. I was driving from West Virginia to OU every day because I couldn't afford to live in the dorms and I couldn't afford to live in Athens. After the first quarter and then midway through the second quarter, I moved to Athens, and I lived in Athens for a little more than a year. That was when I transferred to Marietta. So yeah, I went to OU. I still technically am considered a current student because when I left, I didn't really tell anyone I was leaving. So if you look me up in the system, I'm still active as a current student, and that's why I have access to a lot of stuff. But the that was 2007. Anyway, then I transferred to Marietta, and it is a private school. It's not in West Virginia. Well, most of it's not in West Virginia. The school is on the border. Like, you can see West Virginia from our campus, and part of our campus, like the bridge that comes from West Virginia, the end of it is on our campus. And there are a couple of buildings that we have that are on the other end of the bridge that are in West Virginia. But it's technically in Ohio. So, yeah, and that's where I graduated from. Max says, can you recommend me for the IU job? I think I can do that. I can send you my resume. Well, I mean, I think they're going to offer that to me, but I don't know, like, where you're based, but, you know, if you wanted to apply to one of the other positions, I don't think that I can recommend you just because I don't know you outside of here. But, I mean, I can tell you, like, the company and the, like, where to apply and stuff. And then you can just, you know, tell them that you want to apply for a house director position. I know they generally sometimes will hire people who are either right out of college. For the particular one for Indiana, they wanted somebody older, but and I guess they'd had a grad student in there like previously, and they wanted somebody older than that. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, if you want to do that, you can just email me. Yeah, you can just email me, and it's just MarkGoudyOfficial@gmail. If you want to send your resume, and then we can talk about what to do there. I'm slow to get back, just forewarning. At earliest, it would be Tuesday when I can get back to the library. John says, you could survive with that $2,500 a month. I don't know, man. Sounds like a no-brainer to me. And then Jennifer says, I agree with John. Go for it. So I'm going to take it, provided that they offer it to me. So I'm still waiting. I mean, everything points to they are going to do it. And keep in mind that they're only expecting about 20 hours a week. Once I get the swing of things, I'm going to try to make that more efficient and get that down to 10 or 15. But this isn't going to be my only income. I can still have another job, whether that be a job in Bloomington physically, doing something remote, doing YouTube more, something with TaskRabbit or furniture assembly. But it won't just be the 2,500, because I will be able to live off that, but I will also be able to have more work on top of that. John says, the other added bonus is you would be around a bunch of people to get some social interaction. That is for sure. Maybe I could stop talking to myself. because I've gotten a real bad habit of doing that, especially in public. I do think it's going to be overwhelming for me coming out of the situation I'm coming out of, and having kind of lost all social ability as a result of all of that trauma. It's going to be difficult for me to just like start hanging out a little bit with one person, let alone, I don't know, being socially excellent is what our fraternity calls it. It's something we work on. But that's going to be a very, very steep curve for me to get back on track with that. So one of the many things I got to get going before I go there. Case is here. Case says, I'm applying for second job for the last few months, and so far no response. Yeah. Oh, I guess maybe I haven't told you guys about this because I don't remember when it was. I went through another one of those things where I just get in a mood where I start applying for jobs. And so I thought when I was still in North Carolina, I'd apply for jobs to try to get a part-time job in Columbus for the summer, because I haven't been getting very many furniture assembly leads. So I applied again to IKEA, this time for a different position. IKEA seems to be the only company that wants to hire me. So anyway, I went through the interview process, and the job said that it was $16.90 an hour to $24 an hour. That was the salary range for it. And I went through the interview, everything went well, and then she emailed me back, the recruiter did, and she was like, I realize this might not match up with what you were expecting, but they're willing to pay you $19 an hour. And I'm like, but this position only required 1 year of experience. And like I laid out to her how I have like 20 years experience in what it was. And I was like, you know, what you're saying they're willing to pay is in the bottom half of that range, whereas I exceed all the requirements, and it would seem like paying me less than the median of that range would mean that you think I have less than the average experience when I have more. And like we emailed back quite a few times, and she's just like, yeah, like that's it. And so I just told her what I thought about that. I wasn't rude. I mean, she probably thought it was rude. I was professional about it, but I was telling her something that she didn't want to hear. And you know, and then I actually went into the website and like withdrew my application from the position, just because it was insulting how low they wanted to pay for that position. Case says, any dating story? I can't think of any. I haven't gone on any like dates per se. Oh, well, okay. I did meet one girl on dating app, of course. That was before I found out. It was somebody that I was like, oh, cool, like, you know, maybe we'll get to know her. I'm probably not going to date this girl, you know, maybe just be friends, because I'm not even staying in Athens that long. And yeah, I started talking to her, and I'm not going to tell you guys all the details because I'm embarrassed to even say it. I'm embarrassed for her. But the one part that I will tell you is I already wasn't like enthusiastic about it, and then I found out that she smokes crack. So yeah, that's how it's going, basically. So I stopped talking to her. And I really have not had any other experiences. Since I'm leaving here in like a couple months, I'm not really trying to meet anybody. I guess when I get to Bloomington, which is where IU is, I'll see there. But it, yeah, we'll see that. But I am a little worried about dating in Bloomington. It's a small town. Well, not small as in Athens. Athens has 20,000 people. That's where I'm at right now. It's small. It has 80,000 people. Most of them are younger, which is fine. I mean, I'll date somebody younger than me. That's fine. But like, they're mostly like college age, grad student age, because Indiana does have a big grad program. So a lot of people are working on masters and doctorates there. So yeah, there's like somewhat of an older crowd, but it's very heavily skewed toward like younger people. The other thing is, I'm only an hour drive from Indianapolis, so I guess I could be open to like dating somebody in Indianapolis, just with them being aware of the situation of like, hey, my job's in Bloomington, I'm an hour away. Obviously, I'm not going to be like driving back and forth every day, but Indianapolis, I mean, it's a city. It's similar in size to Columbus. It's kind of boring, to be honest. My stepbrother lived there for a long time. Not really a whole lot going on in Indianapolis. I know the whole fraternity, like all the guys that worked at staff headquarters, went to the 500. It's either yesterday, tomorrow. It's this weekend, anyhow. And like that's their big thing. I'm not into basketball, which is like Indiana's obsession. I'm not into NASCAR, which is their other obsession. I'm fine with corn, so we can agree on that. I don't think there's really much else in Indiana. NASCAR, corn, and basketball. Oh, pigs. Yeah, I forgot about the pig farmers. Okay. But anyway, I don't really know. I think that's my best shot. I may not be able to find somebody local to me, but I think I'm just going to have to expand that to also looking in Indianapolis, and hopefully find somebody that's willing to see me once a week, I guess. Yeah, so I'll have to see how that goes. I am way behind on comments, guys. I'm really trying to catch up. We were about to die salute you says, for entertaining yourself, meaning the long winters in Indiana, make YouTube videos. So that's already the plan. With me having a little bit of stability coming from being housed and having some money coming in, yeah, it gives me the freedom where I can actually have time to make videos and not being working 60 hours a week on DoorDash like I am right now. That said, that's not what I'm going to use to entertain myself, because that is work, and I need to do something other than work. So while I am going to be getting back on track with making YouTube videos and working on the channel in general, I got to do some stuff that I just find enjoyable, not for the sake of making money, but just stuff that I like to do. And that's why I mentioned video games, because it's indoors, and I do like video games. I play PUBG Mobile, and Pokemon Go. I still play, but I just am always way behind on games because I'm poor, so I never have the systems. I mean, okay, I don't know what that is. That was weird. But anyway, the newest system I have is a PS2. if that tells you anything. So I've got a lot of catching up to do. So yeah, that's gonna be my keep myself occupied. John Doe says, I'm going as a grad student. I'm going to the Maritime Academy there to be a deck officer. It's a second career for me. Okay. Is Texas A&M on water? I honestly, I don't know. For some reason, I was thinking it was not near water. The new Mrs. Smith. Okay, so I don't know what that said because it was deleted by the mods. John Doe says, I'll be at Texas A&M at Galveston, though, not College Station. Oh, okay, that explains. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. All right. John Doe says, the new Mrs. Smith, be nice or you're going to get timed out. I don't know what they said. Case says, tried any remote job / gig. You know, I haven't, and I'm open to it, especially after I get settled in this role. The deal is, I'm going to come in I'm going to come in July. The way it works is that we have one remote training session in July. It's like a half day, I think, that we're in Zoom meetings. And then anytime after that, it's kind of fair game that I can move in. I probably won't move in straight away, but toward the end of July, I'll be there. And then toward the beginning of August is when the guys start slowly trickling in. It gives me a little bit of time to get my place cleaned, straightened out, figuring out what I'm going to do about furniture. And then there's like one really busy week, which is move-in week, because there's a lot. I've got to figure out their keys and I got to get them all moved in. And there's some stuff I have to do in the computer system that we use. It's like a property management software. So there's some stuff that has to happen there. But then after that week, everything's pretty chill. Like there's one week where I probably will be working 40 hours. And then it's going to be the same in May for move out. But every other week is that like 20 hours a week. And I'm just going to be straight up with the guys at the beginning. I'm just going to be like, I want to do as little work as possible here. Like, don't make my life difficult, and I'm not going to make yours difficult. Like, please just don't destroy stuff around the house, because that's going to cause so much work for me, and then you guys are going to get fined for all of it, so just don't do that. That was a huge problem at WVU. So if they're not causing problems, anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here, but my point is, once I get past the busy week, I would be open to doing additional work. And if TaskRabbit and all this other stuff is still not really giving me much work, I could look for something remote. I've applied for some remote things just like through LinkedIn, but nothing that I was dead set on I really wanted to do. It was just sort of like here's some job at a random company and this sounds okay, so I apply for that. But yeah, I absolutely could do a remote job. Or even if there was like a hybrid job where I only had to be in Indianapolis one day a week, I could do that. Because I absolutely could drive the hour to Indianapolis, work there for the day, and drive back once a week. Let's see. We Were About to Die Salute You says, I hate humidity. I would rather have dry heat. I remember when I did not have AC for like a month and I felt like I was drowning in my house. Yeah, I mean, I technically don't have AC. I mean, because, well, I have AC in the car, but it only works when the car is running. And since I'm living in the car, it's not on most of the time. The biggest issue with that is mornings. I've been waking up fairly early in the morning, and not by choice. It's because I don't roll my windows down at all at night because of noise. And I do sleep with earplugs in. Guys, my hair is just beyond any hope of staying under control. I cannot keep it up there. But so because of noise, I don't roll the windows down at all, and I'm kind of like sealed in here. Well, the problem is that the car starts getting hot when the sun comes up, and I always wake up and I'm like roasting, like literally. So I have to pretty much get up at that point because I'm like, I have to roll the window down before I die in here. And it's like the same principle of leaving your dog in a hot car. Um, so that's been a big issue that I've been dealing with. And then the new Mrs. Smith, I commented something, but it was removed. And John Doe says, smokes crack. Yeah, that was about my dating story. And yes, like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, because we'd switched over to Snapchat, and then she just kind of left me on red one day, and I didn't think much about it. But then she popped up again, and I was like, what happened to you? And she was just like, oh, I just got out of rehab. And I'm like, what? And then, yeah, she just told me about it, and like, oh, okay. I mean, maybe I should have been more direct about it, but I also didn't like want to hurt her feelings, so I didn't tell her like, okay, well, I don't date people that smoke crack. That should probably just be your expectation from the get-go. I don't know. We Were About to Die Salute You says, you have a stepbrother. Yeah, I have a stepbrother and a stepsister. I don't really claim my stepfamily because my stepdad and I did not like each other, and I never really accepted him, and he never really accepted me. But he has two kids that are older. They were a good bit older than me, like 10 or 15 years. My stepbrother moved to Indianapolis soon after he graduated high school, and he's in his 40s now, maybe 50s. He just moved away. He moved to Florida, I think, last year. But from like high school graduation until last year, he was living in Indianapolis. I asked him why Indianapolis one time, and he just basically said he wanted to get away from our hometown as quick as possible, and he just went to the first city he could, which is understandable. So yeah, and then my stepsister, I don't really know where she is. I think she's still around. I haven't seen her in like 5 years. And I have a stepnephew, her son, who, I don't know, like, he hates me, so I don't talk to him, but I don't know how to describe him other than he just cannot stay out of trouble. He just constantly in the newspaper. Okay, I saw the comment earlier about the tornado. That doesn't sound like the tornado sirens that we have here. because in Ohio, Wednesday at noon, there is a tornado siren, and it doesn't sound like that. I also don't know what that is or where that's coming from. It's like a train horn, but higher pitched. The train tracks were removed in the 90s here, so I don't know what that would be. So, I mean, hey, I guess if there's a tornado, I'll just live stream during that, and I'll switch the camera over so you guys can watch. Let's see. So Little Betty snack cakes, parody of Little Debbie snack cakes. I don't know what that means. If I remember, I will try to look that up later, but I don't know what that was referring to. Yeah, and then we were about to die salute. You said tornado siren. I really don't think it's a tornado siren, but I also don't know what it is. It does look like it might rain. I mean, I'm in a parking garage anyway, so I'll be fine. But, no, anyway. So, the only other update I can think of is, well, before I do that, I'll show you guys the drink of the day. So I've got two. This is just from Wendy's, because I thought I should eat before I do this. This is just Mellow Yellow Zero Cherry with no ice. I don't like ice in drinks, unless it's sweet tea, because then it has to have it. And then this is the other one. This is a big gulp from Speedway, and it's just Coke Zero. So one thing I am very much looking forward to is wherever I end up, even if it's in the fraternity house, just being able to make some meals. So I guess I'm going to take I have a Ninja Foodie. I got it for when I lived in the office. I have that, and I have a microwave, and I'm going to be taking those. I'd like to get a mini fridge for my room, but that's a down the road thing. And I decided not to take my bed to Indiana. Basically, backstory is I had a mound bed from IKEA, and I bought it in 2007. I've moved it around to every apartment, and that last apartment that I had in Columbus, it started to like fall apart. So it's taken apart and it's in the storage unit, but because it had fallen apart, I knew back in 2021 when I was going to be moving to NC State that, you know, if the girl's going to be living there, she's not going to live like a savage like me, so she's going to need a bed. So we picked one out, and I went and got it. It's still in the box because we didn't move. But for the same reason that I feel weird about going to... We might go on a walk here in a bit for me to figure out what the hell that is. Okay. So anyway, I feel weird about bringing like our bed, so I think I'm just gonna leave that in storage unit until I figure out what to do with it. And I'm gonna buy a cheap bed. It's not gonna be something I can afford right away. But IKEA has a bed that is $49. It's not the cheapest model. Hey, TMUSA, saw your comment. I can't, I think if I switch over, like if I switch apps, it ends the live stream, and I'm streaming from my phone. I'm in Athens, Ohio. It's 45701. If anybody can tell me if there's a tornado coming. I mean, if so, I'm not actually going to move. I'm just going to stay right where I'm at, because I figure a parking garage is one of the safest places to be. But yeah, so I just feel weird about it. I found the bed is $49. They charge $50 for the slats, but the slats that I have for the old bed will fit. So I'm just going to use the old slats. I need to go to the tool library while I'm here. That we've got one here in Athens that I'm a member of, and I need to get a staple gun to fix the slats. But other than that, they'll be fine by the time I'm ready to go. Yeah, so I was getting sidetracked. The other thing is, I know you guys ask about this a lot, so I'll tell you. I have talked to my mom, and it went okay, I guess. It was kind of encouraged because she's been having some health problems, and my cousin wanted me to talk to her. We've talked twice now, and we haven't fought, so that's good. I don't think that's going to last long, but, you know. So I guess that relationship is a little bit better. TMUSA says Athens has a severe thunderstorm warning. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to rain. It's weird that whatever that is keeps blowing. But we'll see. I mean, where I'm at right now, if I move like one car space over, it's completely enclosed. So I'll just go over there if there's a tornado. I'm in a parking garage, but there's like some, I guess, window type things where I'm parked. But yeah, if I just go over there, it'll be like being inside basically. And it's all concrete block, brick, and then like concrete pillars. So I don't think this is going anywhere. Where are the comments? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I told you guys about that. Now, I think I got a little sidetracked, but basically everything that happened this month, I told you guys last time, I think, that I got those complaints filed against the judges. And the last complaint I got sent in, it was due April 22nd. So it was in on time. So that was the end of April. And then rolling into May, I was just preparing to come north. And I got everything done. I did film the vlog that you guys asked for last month. I am in the process of editing it. To tell you where I'm at in the editing process, I've gotten from the beginning up until the West Virginia state line on the drive back. I've still got to do probably more than half of the editing on it. I really want to try to get it up this week, but I can't promise that. So I am working on it in the background. Here soon there should be a very long vlog about that. But yeah, it's so much. Like, there's so many videos, and it's just taken me a long time. So that was filmed, that's coming. And then once I got back, I've pretty much just been working. I was going to sign up for a co-working space when I got here to Athens, and it turns out, well, they haven't built it yet. The big thing was, I know the co-working space in Columbus has been really useful for me, and I'll need to get that if I can get the money together when I get back up there. But I found out there's one here in Athens, and there's been one for a while, but it's like not good. It's just, I don't see any point in joining it, but they're building a new one. And so before I left North Carolina, I was looking at their website, and they have a membership for $25 a month, which I'm like, that's perfect. Like, that's so cheap. I can do that. And that made sense to me. I was like, it's a tiny town. Co-working space is not going to be nearly what it costs in the city. And so it says on the website opening 2024. Well, we're almost halfway through 2024. So I thought, well, it should either be open or like close to opening when I get back. And I get there, I get back, and I go to the building, and it's an old building. It's one they're like reusing. Um, and I'm like, all they've done is replace the windows. Like, I looked inside, there's nothing inside. The building's completely gutted. And it doesn't even look like they're working on anything. So I'm like, so are we gonna have this in 2024? But it definitely looks like it's not gonna be available until after I've actually moved. Instead, I'm just gonna be using the university. They are open limited hours during the summer, but they're still open every day. Like, the student center and the library are still open every day, at least until 7 p.m. Well, wait. The student center's closed on Sunday, but the library's open. But anyway, I've been doing that. I've been trying to save a little bit money and get a little less fat by using the microwave in the library. So like one meal a day, most days, I can save some money by getting something frozen from the grocery store and bringing it to school and eating it there. And then while I'm at the library, I'm being productive. Sometimes that's editing video, and other times it's, just working on other stuff I need. But I did just find out this week that I can still use my student ID to reserve study rooms, which means that I should be able to film video. And I know last month I said I've got this mental list. It's on my list this week to make that mental list a written list. So we're getting a little bit closer to actually getting some of these videos made. And I'm just gonna have to, I mean, it's not gonna be a great looking background, but I just need to get them filmed. And I think I can do that, like, at least some of them while I'm still here in Athens. And I suppose the longer I don't get furniture assembly work in Columbus, the longer I'm gonna have to be able to do that. Who knows? I might be stuck here until July, and if that's the case, I will be going as soon as possible to Indiana. And that does remind me of one thing. I am, for the most part, once I get to Indiana, I'm gonna stop doing DoorDash and Instacart and all of those things that I have to use my car for. I mean, I'm still gonna use my car to drive around, but those things have been, I mean, of course, I don't make much profit on doing those jobs. And if I ever want to get caught up on getting the repairs done on my car, I gotta stop driving so damn much. So since I'll have enough income to live on coming in, that was thunder, from just the fraternity thing, then what I'm gonna do is just, I'm just gonna stop doing it. I'm gonna give my car a break and focus that time on something else, whether it be building leads for furniture assembly or making YouTube videos. I don't have to do DoorDash anymore just for basic living expenses. So that's going to be a huge change. And my food budget should go way down. Not just because of the free meals I get, but also just I'm going to be able to eat at home. I'm hoping I can make a video once I get settled in I can show you guys what my expenses and income will be, like basically making a budget based on this new source of income. Case says, what's your daily income and expense now? Income, it's really hard to say because some days I can't even sign into DoorDash. So there's some days I don't even have any income. I would say at the max, it would be like $100 a day, not including depreciation or expenses. That would be if I can work like the full day with DoorDash and work 8, 10, 12 hours that day, and it's a busy, like a weekend. I think that would be the max. Now, expenses, my expenses are mainly gas and food. And then, of course, I have my monthlies. Like, I've got to make my credit card payments. I've got to make my phone bill, that kind of stuff. Those haven't changed. But as far as other living expenses, the main problem I have, gas is $3.69 a gallon here. And that's a good bit more expensive than everywhere else in the area. Athens, if you Google it, like, you can see there's newspaper articles printed every year about like, why is gas in Athens so expensive? It has been for years. It's always way more expensive here. So that's one downside. The other is that okay, well, now I forgot what the other one was. What was I gonna say? Gas and I don't know. TMUSA says, start saving to replace your car. It can't have much life in it, right? Pretty high miles. Yeah, so it's got 237,566. It honestly, it's not giving me any indication that it's going to die. I mean, it's definitely in rough shape, and there's a lot of work that needs, like, a lot of things that I need to save money for to replace on it. Like, eventually I need to get my radiator fixed instead of just continuously putting coolant in it every week or so. I think it's just the upper radiator hose. I think there's like it feels squishy, so I think there's a hole in it. So like that's an issue, and the tires are kind of just a whole mess I don't even want to get into right now. And there's I'm about to have a fight this week. I'm going to take care of it this week. I'm going to have a fight with the windshield washer fluid sensor again. I don't know I think it's going bad, but I have to I'd say like every month, I have to completely drain the windshield washer fluid reservoir and then put white vinegar in there instead, and then run that through the system to get the sensor to reset, because it always tells me that it doesn't have any in it. So then you have to flush the vinegar out and then put washer fluid back in. So there's stuff like that. It really needs some suspension work done. I mean, it's nothing where it's not drivable the way it is, but it needs it done. And I'm going to try to use, I'm going to buy some of the parts myself. I'm going to fix what I can myself. There's local mobile mechanics that will charge significantly less than having the dealership do it. And I'm going to use some methods like that in order to get farther, basically, with the money I have. But yeah, like, as far as giving my car a rest, I won't be driving it much at all once I get there. And because, I mean, I basically probably won't even be leaving Bloomington. I was planning on getting a zip car if I go to Indianapolis for a job. So I wouldn't even be making that hour commute back and forth. I would just be driving it around Bloomington, which means that it's probably going to last like basically forever. I think that, because I mean, if I rent the Zip car, that's a business expense. So I'll just deduct that, and it would still be profitable for me to go to Indianapolis if the job's big enough. And what I'm planning on doing with the car, well, for one thing, if I had to buy a new car, which I don't want to do, I want to fix this, but if I do have to buy one, I'll have the proof of income from my contract that I'm making $2,500 a month, which would be more than enough to get approved for a car loan. My plan, though, is just to fix everything. And by not driving very much at all, like, limiting those miles keeps more and more stuff from going wrong. And I'm able to get some stuff fixed so that there are fewer things wrong with it. Hopefully to the point where all the important stuff is fixed. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. But I will now have the proof of income in case I do need to get one. The other option would be doing the monthly option with Zipcar. The Bloomington has it. So you can rent it just for a day or by the hour if you need to, but they also have a monthly plan. So if I didn't want to get a loan and buy one, there's also that. And I would be able to afford it, I think. John Doe says, are you showering at a gym? Yeah, here in Athens, I go to Planet Fitness. There's not much of a selection of gyms here because it's a small town. So I go there, and I also have, once I get the co-working membership again in Columbus, there is a gym that they own. They bought it out, and you just have to, there's no additional monthly fee. There's an annual fee that you pay if you want to access the gym. It's a really, really nice gym too. It's not like a Planet Fitness. It's like a rich people gym. Like they have valet parking, if that tells you anything. I'm not going to do that. I'll park in a normal parking space, but like, but yeah, it's really nice. So it's like a nice place to take a shower. So if I get back to Columbus, I will probably do that as an option. Oh, yeah, there's definitely like a really bad storm blowing in. It's getting dark here, and I can see trash like blowing across campus. We'll be fine. I'll just close. I've got my driver's door open, so I'll just close that if the storm comes in. So Case says, oh crap. Okay. Case says, share some wisdom from your life struggle into a short 30-second video. Can make that into a series. I don't know what I would have to share, what it would be found to be valuable. The closest to that I can think of, and it's something that I want to do before I move to Indiana, because as I'm going to stop living in my car, any content I want to make about having lived in my car, I really need to make. Yeah, it just got dark enough that the lights came on in the garage. But since I'm not going to be living in my car, if any videos that I make about like living in my car, I really need to make while I'm doing that. So I I do want to do a tour of the car to show you guys like how it's organized, like what areas have what. And I think some people are going to find it interesting, some people are going to find it really depressing, but it's like almost like an MTV Cribs, but for for the car. And then I do want to make a few shorts. Well, I don't know. I'm not good at making things short, so they might not be shorts. They might just be really short, long form videos. But I have thought about like how I use the bathroom, how I shave, how I get mail, how I do laundry. That's thunder. And all of that, those kinds of things. It's like how I do laundry as a homeless person, or how I get mail as a homeless van lifer, or however I put it. Okay. Stuff's starting to blow around in the car. Ooh. I still have my eclipse glasses. I can't keep them on because my hair is so long. So I still have my eclipse glasses because I didn't turn them in in time to recycle, and now I have to wait till I go to Columbus. There's a place on the way to Columbus that I can still take them to. It's just most places like the library and stuff that we're recycling don't anymore. So that's why they're still in my car. Case says, is the gym hiring? Can get money and free training and shower. You know what? I don't know. I don't know about the one here in Athens. The one in Columbus, well, of course I don't know because I haven't been there. I mean, since I've been back to Ohio, I haven't been there. I mean, yeah, that's okay. That's an idea. But yeah, it just started pouring rain. So yeah, that's an idea that I can possibly look into. Just depending on what they'd have me do. I don't know, because I know the Planet Fitness here at least, they're super chill. Everybody just sits at the counter on their phone, so there's that. I'm sure they pay minimum wage. And Case says a day in the life of videos. Yeah. So yeah, I just don't want to do an entire day in the life, because for me every day is completely different. So there's no way that I can make one that's I don't know, that kind of shows basically what I do every day, because it changes. So what I'm gonna do instead is break down those individual things, topics that I think people would find interesting. Yeah, if you're already in van life, you probably already know how to get mail. But people who come across it and might just think that's interesting, because if you think about that, that's one of the biggest questions that people ask about people who live in their cars or van life or car camping or whatever, is well, how do you use the bathroom? And the answer to that is, well, usually in a toilet. And I'll explain the whole thing, and I'll talk about the other options too. But it's almost kind of like clickbait, but it's not clickbait, because I am actually answering the question. It's just it's a title that would catch people's attention and curiosity, and then I can just make a short video of well, it's not much different than what you do. We just have to scout out a place that has clean ones and when they're going to be open, and that kind of thing. So those are coming, and those should be up by July, I would hope, because by July I should no longer be living in the car, so I'm trying to get those up before that changes. Because I think the longer that you're out, like the longer after you stop doing something, the more out of touch about that thing you are. So I want to get it up before I stop doing that. I was trying to think if there was anything else to tell you guys, but I think pretty much. Oh yeah, there is actually. So basically, I'm gonna struggle through the rest of this month because I had expected furniture assembly money to come in, and it hasn't. So I've not made my student loan payment. I have not made my storage unit payment, and they've already texted me about it. So I really need to get that money somehow. I'm gonna pray that whatever I pay to the credit card is enough. I'm gonna make the minimum on one of them, and then the other one, it's so far behind. I just paid them a flat $200 last month. I can't even do that this month, but I'm just trying to pay what I can toward it until I can get caught up, so that they don't just like completely charge it off. That's the last thing I'm behind on, really. And then there's a couple small things that come out on the 1st and the 3rd, but I should be able to clear those. And then I have a stretch up until the 15th when the student loans due again, that I should be good. So I just need to get some income coming in this week, and I should be fine. Basically, the beginning of June, after I clear that payment on the 3rd, then my birthday's on the 5th. And I'll be 39. I don't know how. So I'm not really going to be able to do anything for my birthday because I just don't have any money. So, I mean, I guess I can maybe just not work where I normally would. But I really can't do anything special just because, like, yeah, I don't have any money to, even to do like a nice meal or anything. So, at least, I mean, I'm like 90% sure I'm getting this job with the fraternity. At least I know that that's coming, even if I have to have a rough couple months. Let me know how loud that thunder is. If you can't hear me because of it, I can close the car door. But yeah, and then I will say that I do think it is somewhat poetic that I'm going back and fixing the fraternity thing, because I had such a rough experience with it because of her. And now, after her, I'm going back and getting back on track with that. So it's like one piece of my life that I'm getting a second chance with, and I'm going to get to straighten it out. I'm going to get to prove that, you know, I'm not bad at it, and it was just everything that was going on in my life at the time. I'm pretty sure my bosses already know that, but, you know, I get to prove that to everybody else. So I do like that at least one thing is going back to being right in my life. Now I'm just going to have to find a girl that is okay with dating a 39-year-old professional frat boy who has 78 roommates. Okay, so Lennart says, look up Caleb Hammer when you're in a position to take charge of the financial aspect. The budgeting is important, especially with inconsistent income, where you have to budget annually, not monthly. Yeah, so I have heard of him. People have mentioned him on the channel, and I think I I've not watched any of his videos, but I know I don't know what is wrong with me. Ever since I went down to the Carolinas, I started sneezing, these huge sneezes. And I thought, I'm like, well, I've never had winter allergies before, but I thought, well, I'm in a different place. I know allergies are bad in the South, maybe that's just why. But then when I came back, it hasn't stopped. So I don't know what is going on, but I'll just randomly like sneeze like that. But anyway, yeah, so I did get one of his videos recommended to me by the algorithm. I didn't watch it myself. It's kind of exactly the situation that you said. That's why I haven't been focusing on my finances, is I don't watch stuff right now that is about like improving my finances, because that makes me feel helpless. Because I know that I can't do anything beyond just getting by right now. I will check it out. Like once I get settled, it's going to be August. That's when I'll get my first check. And what I'm planning on doing once I get those checks, so I'm just going to pay everything for the entire month. Like credit card minimum payments, the student loan payment, what else do I pay? Oh my god, I can't think of anything. Cell phone bill, all of that. It's just going to be paid like right when I get the money. So all the expenses are covered for the month, and then I also have a better idea of like how much money I have left to work with. Yeah, pretty much that. So I will check that out. Case says, I saw in the news that there are pharmacy tech or nurses making 40 to 60 a year, but living in a car because rent is too high. Yeah, for sure. If you're only making 40 to 60 a year, it would be hard to even income qualify for an apartment. Because let's say 40, you're making $40,000 a year. I mean, what is that, like $18 an hour if you're full time? So 18, what is that, 720 a week? Oh my god, did I just do that wrong? Hold on. I think I did that wrong. No, 720 a week, and then 720 a week. 14, 20. Let's say you're making $2,900 a month doing that. I think the math is basically right on that. Well, $2,900 a month would be an apartment in Columbus. Like, you'd have rent, nothing else. So, yeah, I definitely see why they're living in their cars. Seth says, hey Mark, I hope you're well. I know I'm joining late, but did you get the job at the frat house? About 90% yes. After this re-uploads, if you want to go back and watch from the beginning, we've talked about it a lot. But I've gone through all the interview processes, and they're supposed to have the contract to me soon. They told the house, or they told the chapter advisor that I got it, and then he kind of mentioned that to me, but nobody said it to me. So I'm waiting on them to email me over the contract. But yeah, basically. But instead of going to NC State, I'm going to Indiana. So I'll be in Bloomington, which is like an hour south of Indianapolis. And Lennart says, yeah, you do you. Reality check will be tough, but will be helpful in the long run, especially the budgeting part. Well, as far as the reality check, I don't know that that's actually going to be tough, because I have a feeling that I'm not going to agree with what he says. Because, I mean, I've explained on this channel before that, like, it's pretty frequent that someone will post a comment on a video and just basically be like, well, you're an idiot. Your solution, or like the solution to your problem, is this one singular thing, and it's so easy. What is wrong with you that you can't figure this out? But then, like, whatever the solution is that they've proposed, either 100% does not work, like in the situation that they're talking about at all, or for, some detail that maybe I haven't made public, or maybe they didn't notice in a video, it doesn't work for me in particular. And so, and it's kind of, well, let's be honest, I have a lot of problems with Dave Ramsey, but that's also one of the problems I have with him, is that it's kind of a one size fits all. I don't care about your details. I'm not going to admit if I'm wrong kind of thing. And so, I mean, I'll listen to what he would, what he would have to say, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to agree with him, because you have to realize that I'm the expert on my situation. I know, like, all the details of my finances, income, expenses. I know my limitations. So, and also I'm pretty damn experienced with finance anyhow. I mean, I've been budgeting for years, and the only issue that I have is making money. It's not, it sounds like to me he's more on the end of telling you how to handle the money you have. I'm really good at that. People confuse that. They think that, if you're poor, well, it's your fault because you're just wasteful. But that's never been the issue with me. I can make $100 last for a month or more. But, I mean, I just have a problem getting $100 in the first place. That's been my issue. Case says, Caleb is kind of aggressive and ignorant. I think it is for entertainment purposes. He would make people look stupid, but not knowing the backstory. Okay, well, that's pretty much, what I just said I thought might be a problem. And then, if you can get on Caleb's show, definitely go. Would be a chance to get a lot of donation. Oh, they do donations. All right. Get a donation link ready before you go. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's going to be worth it, because I don't know if I would agree with him. Max says Caleb Hammer just yells at his guests, telling them not to eat out. Yeah, see, like in my situation, that wouldn't work at all, because if you're saying don't eat out, and I'm like, I live in my car, I don't have a kitchen, I can't store food, and I can't prepare food, I have to eat out. If he's not willing to actually see the situation, then yeah, I can't take him seriously. Then Max said, it's interesting to see how people spend their money, but it's mostly just people in their 20s getting student debt and eating out. Okay, yeah, fair. So that's just normal for everybody. Case says, also, Caleb usually shows people who are mismanaging money. I think Mark is not really mismanaging money at this point. Yeah, I mean, I will say that, like, I have a problem with eating out too much. I totally agree with that. That is outside the homeless situation. I think that's been one of my struggles that I've dealt with for a long time. And that is something, once I get back housed, that's still going to be something I struggle with. And I will need to work on. That said, my current situation, I have to eat out every meal. Like I said, I've been able to have a few, like, usually 5 days a week, one meal a day. I can go to the grocery store and get something and take it back to the university and warm it up in their microwave. And that saves me a little bit of money doing that. But that's about the extent to how I can better that situation right now until I get a place to store and prepare food. Max says Caleb offers very little solutions, just except don't spend money. Yeah, that really isn't helpful. I mean, I guess if you, well, sure, like conceptually, like if you don't ever spend money and you're making money, then the money you have is going to increase. But if you don't spend money, well, I mean, you die. But like, also, if you didn't pay your bills, like, that's what Dave Ramsey would freak out about, right? Like, you're not making your loan payments. Case says everyone knows how to save money. Eat ramen 2 times a day, go dumpster diving, etc. Well, so the issue with that is, I mean, health issues, of course, from the ramen thing. But also, again, like with me, I wouldn't have anywhere to prepare that. Go dumpster diving. Well, look, I'm not opposed to that. I have a yoga mat that I got out of the trash last week that I'm sleeping on. But you also have potential legal issues that are going to cost you a lot of money if you get caught dumpster diving. Case says, look at how many third world country people who are all experts at saving, but how many of them are millionaires? Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a limit to it. Like, you can do everything right and you can try so hard and you can get it to where you're doing better as far as getting by day to day, but you're not going to be able to accumulate wealth. Case says, don't get too hung up on saving pennies, but think about earning dollars. Okay, so focus on the income side is what you're saying. TMUSA says, I prefer romaine, I don't know how to pronounce that. Romaine Far? I don't really do French. Over Caleb Hammer. Romaine is calm and his approach is more kind. He has more realistic people on his show, not all of the same type. That would be, if somebody approached me about my situation, I would definitely need them to come in that way, because like otherwise, like I wouldn't be able to take them seriously at all. I would just take it, I guess, as like being an asshole rather than like me being able to accept what they're saying, even if there is some truth to it. John Doe says, yeah, Caleb Hammer's advice boils down to no college, no debt, get a better job, get a second job. Well, so like his whole system is just fundamentally flawed then. Because, well, first of all, I mean, some situations you can go to college for free. Some states have free community college, or even if it's not free, sometimes it's cheap enough that it's completely covered with Pell Grants. Or even if you go to like a state regular college, sometimes that's covered by grants. I mean, and usually, hopefully, you would hope that getting a degree would help you get a better paying job. But the get a better job and get a second job, I mean, what reality does he live in? I mean, most people already have at least 2 jobs, but even if they don't, it's like impossible to get a job. I mean, you guys look at this situation. The only reason that I'm getting a job with the fraternity is because I'm a brother. Like, this is my family helping me out. Like, this is a family-run business that they're offering me a position in. So what? Max says, we all in this together is a documentary about a guy who biked from LA to New York and and baked and got tons of food from grocery store dumpsters who could not spend money on the trip, and it worked out for him. Oh, I wouldn't want to do that. John Doe says, also, people have done exposés on Caleb. He used actors when he started and had them make up horrible finances to yell at them. I might try to look for that. I'd like to watch that, actually. Oh, speaking of, if you guys are on Reddit, I found a subreddit. It's called Dirty Dave. And it's people exposing Dave Ramsey. I will say it leans a little more in his favor than I would still like it to. A lot of them do follow his methods, but they just hate him as a person. But at least somebody's finally saying it. So, you know, if you want to read about that. But yeah, I mean, if I knew that, like if I watched that expose and then like had him evaluate the stuff, like I would, you know, of course I would bring that up with him. As reasons like why I wouldn't take his advice seriously. Max says, Caleb's also really lucky he ended up in the position. I think he has a music production degree. Now he has become a financial influencer expert. Music production's really hard too. I had to take one class of that when I was a music major. Case says, Caleb sounds like Dr. Phil 2.0. Yeah, I mean, well, Dr. Phil lost his, was it his medical license or his whatever certification to be a psychiatrist due to the way that he was behaving. John says, yeah, I've seen Dirty Dave. Max says, Caleb does seem to care more about people more than Dave Ramsey. That's saying something. He has given some of his guests some food and supplies. Dave just gives people a book or a free lesson of Financial Peace University. William Van Fletteren, you are a well-meaning person, so I ask this as only a thought for you to ponder, maybe? Do you think there is a sense of security, comfort, and predictability that comes with just getting by? It may take a leap of faith to break on through to the other side. You have everything it takes to do this. I don't think so. As far as I'm not sure 100% what you're asking. If you're asking if I purposefully keep myself in a place where I only barely get by day to day, I'm not doing that intentionally, and I'm actually trying very hard the opposite. I know, I'm not sure how long you've been around the channel, but 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I completely had my shit together. I worked a job where had it continued, I got furloughed, but had it continued, I would have made over $200,000 that year. I paid off my car 3 years early. I had no credit card debt. I had over $13,000 in savings. But I found myself in an abusive relationship, and you know, she took a lot of the money and then otherwise hurt me financially. And then that ended up in a domestic violence situation. And then that led me to another domestic violence situation where my roommate tried to stab me. And that is what has led me to living in my car for the last year. So none of that I did to myself. I don't want that to have happened, and I'm trying to get back on my feet after that happened, but it's not easy. So, you can see that in the last 2 or 3 years, like, I tried really hard to get my life together, and I did. I was in a really good place, but it just was somebody came into my life and treated me terribly, and then it just seemed like once I was vulnerable, everybody else just jumped on me and tried to take everything else I had. So, I mean, I just basically got down to rock bottom, and I'm still pretty close to there, but I'm at least looking up, I guess. But no, I'm not like subconsciously keeping myself in a place where I'm just getting by, because I don't enjoy any of this, and I'm not making decisions that either put me in this position in the first place or like keep me in the position. Okay, Max. Yeah, see you next month, man. And I will have some actual videos up this month too for you to watch. Case said, if you do, why can't I read today? If you do get on Caleb's show, you have to mention the relationship problem. It will bring more light on the women versus men abuse issues. I'll do it. If I decide to, if I research him, I decide to go on the show, I get on the show, I'll mention that. Because I do think that's a huge part of the whole situation. Is I've had an incredibly hard time getting my life together, and then I did, and then I just had this person that I'm supposed to be able to trust just destroy it for no apparent reason. One thing I do want to tell you guys about that, I mentioned it last month that I had decided to do, and it is coming. The big holdup right now, one, I'm still struggling financially, but two, I need to get into a space where I can film. But I did, at least when I got back. Okay, well, it's clear at the back of the car, so you can't see it. But I did get my ring light and my stand. So I'm actually going to be able to have a proper stand that's not just the dials on my car propped up with a thing of dental floss. But I have an actual stand with actual lighting, and I can film actual videos that look halfway decent. But I've decided that what I'm going to have to do, whether I want to or not, is actually tell the story of what the hell happened with the relationship. And like, in order to do that, I kind of just have to start at the beginning and say everything that happened, including, leading up to court, what happened at court, how that all turned out, because I really haven't talked about it on the channel. So as far as how my relationship created all the financial problems that I'm facing now and the homelessness that I'm facing, you guys will totally understand once you watch the video. And as you said, more attention needs to be brought to women abusing men, and that will do it. I mean, it's not like I'm going to put one video out there saying like, oh, I was abused by a girl, but to the people who watch the series of videos that collectively will be the story of what happened, they'll be exposed to it. They'll see what happened. And, I mean, I guess in that way. Yeah, CMUSA says the full story of the girl will be awesome. So, what I'm going to put out there, I think, is going to be about 93% of the story. I'm not going to put her name out there. I'm not going to say, like, where she works or her specific, like, well, some of them I kind of have to talk about, but like mental health, like, I'm not going to talk about the specific diagnosis. And there are some things that I'm going to be honest, they are too embarrassing for me to talk about publicly. I would have a hard time even talking in person to a person about it rather than putting it out on the internet, because I'm honestly just so embarrassed by some of the stuff she did. So there's some that I will not put out here. So you're gonna miss like the worst of it, because I can't even talk about it. But you'll get most of the story, and you'll have a very good understanding of why this has fucked me up so badly. Not just like how it fucked up my life and my finances, but like why I've been so focused on this and why I'm so preoccupied with all of it. That said, the format that I've figured out to do that in, there's a guy who, there's a guy that actually lives fairly close to my hometown. His name's Nate Petrosky, and he has a YouTube channel, and he's on TikTok, and it's called Narrowway Homestead, and he's a farmer basically, and he's doing homesteading, which is completely outside the realm of anything that I'm interested in, but I started watching his videos because of his dog. Like, he has a lot of videos with his dog in it, and then I started watching his other stuff. He had actually seen, and I've still yet to watch it, but apparently there was like a 50-part video series that this woman put on TikTok about like some crazy guy that she dated, and it was her just telling the story, and he was inspired by that to make a series called What the Hell Happened. And it was partly a relationship with his wife, partly some stuff going on with his sister, and partly the story of him like buying the land he lives on and starting to develop it into a homestead. But there were so many parts of that story that really resonated with me, as far as how he was treated, especially by his wife, and how that messed him up. And so anyway, I was watching him anyway. He made that series based off a series he had been inspired by, and it kind of explained the entire backstory, because he kept getting so many questions about it. It was same with me. And then he can just point to that video and be like, here, go watch this. I'm not going to tell the whole story again. But the good thing about it is, like, just like Johnny Depp, when other men start speaking up about what happened to them, it inspires me and makes me feel a little bit safer to actually speak up and to tell my story. And so with him doing that, it made me feel a little more comfortable with putting it out there, because originally I was not going to talk about this on YouTube at all. But I think what I'm going to do is structure it similarly to how he did. I'm going to make the videos hopefully approximately 10 to 15 minutes long each, and I'm going to try to post them in batches. So I'll do like the first batch of like maybe 5 videos, and then wait a little while so I can process everything that I said there. If there are any questions coming in, I can make a Q&A video based on that batch before I post the next batch. Any questions that people have that are brought up or I didn't think to mention. And it also gives me a little time to process it myself mentally, because it is a lot to bring it up and talk about it. So I've decided on a title. It doesn't make any sense right now, but I will tell you, the title of the series is going to be called Shall Be Heard. And I'll explain in the actual series why it's called that. But the Shall Be Heard series will be the story of the girl. And that will at least begin to be posted sometime this summer. Oh, and included in this, in case I saw your comment, I don't know about production value. I mean, we'll have lighting, we'll have some editing, I will try to stay on topic, but you know, I don't know how like professional it'll get, but I'll try to make it decent. Well, case a good filming technique instead of just looking like a vlog. I mean, it'll be a little bit better than that. It'll be like my previous videos, except that when we get to the point of talking about some of the court stuff, I am actually going to present evidence. Not everything that I was going to present in court, but some really important things that I think are very important for people to see, like examples of text messages, certain text messages from her. There are some video clips. There are some police reports, not about me, but about her, that need to be discussed. And then there are some other things where I'm just going to lay out for you, like, this thing she's saying is literally impossible, and I'm going to prove that. And here's the evidence that shows it's impossible. And I mean, I will dig down into, you know, Google Maps and driving times and timestamps of photos and stuff, because it's important to me to be able to finally talk about this. And it's important to me too that the people who like me and follow this channel don't have this thought in the back of their mind that it's like, well, maybe he really is that way and she was telling the truth. I want to disprove that once and for all. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you all very, very deep inside all of the evidence that was going to be presented in court and show you that she cannot possibly be telling the truth. So anyway, that's coming. That's obviously a huge project, and not just because it's going to be so long and so involved, but because it's going to take a lot out of me to go through this. And it's kind of like going to therapy and opening up and how difficult that is. It's similar to that. And I'm going to have to feel all this stuff again going through it again. So I have to take a little bit slowly because of that too. But yeah, to your point, I will be putting the story out there about a guy who was abused by a girl. And as stuff, I'll add updates to it too, basically. You know, as I hear back from my complaints against the judges and things like that, I can just keep adding episodes. Eventually, this will all be wrapped up and there won't be anything else to say, but for a while, I'll still be getting some responses. And I really would like just everyone to see what I've been dealing with, because I really don't think this is normal. So, yeah, did I miss some comments? Yeah, I did. William says, yes, I can clearly see that you have all of the necessary skills to do well in this world. You're obviously educated and your communication skills are excellent. Maybe YouTube is your answer. Maybe. I mean, I would like to continue to build the channel. A channel where you give your point of view on worldly events, current fads, and newsworthy items. You have a crazily addictive tone, wording, and outlook. Your side notes would be the hook. Okay. Well, and I, you know, if I'm making content just about whatever is going on in my life, which is basically what I do now, I mean, yeah, if I'm timely enough, I'd be able to capitalize on like trending topics. Kay says, yes, make videos about stuffs that people don't know about. Example, the abuse issue, how you get less help as a man than a woman, how your voice not get heard when in court as a man, etc. A mini series with some good production value, maybe good filming technique instead of just like I feel looking like a vlog. Yeah, the only thing would be instead of making like separate videos about that, that will all be just part of that series of videos of me saying what happened. But I will talk about all of those things. And that's, you're saying your voice should be heard. Like that's partly where the title of the series comes from. Shall be heard. I'll go more into detail in it in the actual videos, but that's actually lifted from the West Virginia, was it the Rules of Practice and Procedure for Domestic Violence? And you'll see why that applies. Because I had a really hard time trying to decide what to name the series. I didn't want to call it What the Hell Happened. That's very appropriate, but that's what Nate called his, so I didn't want to just take that. So the I mean, I did think about calling it like My Domestic Violence Story, but then that doesn't cover the whole thing because that's a big chunk of what I'm going to be talking about. But if I'm telling the story of the whole relationship and everything that's happened over the years, a lot of it wouldn't be a part of that. So I didn't think that was right either. So basically, I'm just going to call it Shall Be Heard. I'm going to put all the parts together, and then I'm going to hope that, like with Nate's vaguely titled series, What the Hell Happened, that people pick up on this story and what it's actually about, and will watch it through. Leonard says, if you can monetize it somehow, then do the series. Or if you need it to mourn the lost relationship. But if not, try counseling and move on. People who hold it against you shouldn't care about. Oh, people who hold it against you shouldn't care about. Yeah, I know. It's just, you know, it's hard that people do hold it against me because of the kind of the feelings that brings up. It will be monetized. On YouTube, the video has to be 8 minutes or longer to run mid-roll ads. The videos I'm going to make are going to try to keep them around 10 minutes to maybe 15 minutes. Some of them will be longer. Some parts will be. Just to keep, like one thing I have to talk about in one video. But, yeah, so each of those videos will be monetized, which means that I will get some AdSense revenue, and I will have more money coming in just because I'm posting a whole bunch of videos. There will be probably some certain individual chapters that will be demonetized. Just before I say this, if I just want to kind of put like a trigger warning if anybody is sensitive to things that might trigger you. I'm about to say something, but some of the topics, I'm going to try to say this without getting demonetized on this video. But I'm going to be talking about SA, in multiple instances, of myself and of her. And we're going to be talking about abuse from family and, in that nature, emotional, physical, financial, sexual. I think there's a lot more that has gone on in this relationship than people on YouTube know about. And because there has been so much, that is why it's so hard for me to just let it go. I mean, I'm going to still stand up for myself in the ways I can, like filing the complaints and stuff. I do think there's some very small aspect of like, oh, maybe I'll feel better after I tell the story. But the main point of it was originally just to update you guys and say, hey, the lawsuit's over. But then I kind of have to explain, like, why. Because I'm the one that decided to end it. And then, you know, and then I just realized in order to tell that story, I'm going to have to talk about more and more and more and more and more stuff. That it got to the point I'm like, this isn't going to make any sense unless I just start at the beginning. And that's how I got to, I'm going to have to tell this entire story. But I'm traumatized. I'm trauma bonded. It's not a normal situation that I'm just taking exceptionally hard. I'm probably taking it exceptionally hard, but it's definitely, it's a much harder than usual situation to deal with. So, as far as the comment about, you know, if I need to mourn, or if you need it to mourn the lost relationship, maybe it will somewhat be that, but it's not mostly that. It's mostly because this needs to be said. She has fought so hard to keep me from ever telling my story, which is why she's fought against me appealing the restraining orders. It's why she fought tooth and nail against the lawsuit. She never wanted any of this. She never wanted me to, in court or otherwise, be able to have the opportunity to tell my side. And I've never gotten to. And like I said, I'm going to present evidence and everything. And it's just kind of the situation of like, well, if you wanted to be talked about better, you should have acted better. But, you know, she's just done everything she can to prevent me from ever saying anything. So, when I do make this, you guys will totally understand why this has been such an issue for me. TM USA says, maybe you can sell your story for a book or movie rights. Possibly. And actually putting it out on YouTube is a good way for that to be found. Yeah, a lot of people will like publish a book and then, yeah, a studio will buy the movie rights from the book. I don't know. I mean, if you guys think Jerry Springer's dramatic, it's got nothing on what happened in this. So it's, at the very least, an entertaining story for people, I guess. Oh, yeah, TM USA says there's another severe thunderstorm warning for Athens until 5:30. That must be why that thing went off again. So, yeah, maybe it is a storm whistle or something. I've never heard it. Anyway, John Phillips says, morning all. Where are you at, John? It's like 5 p.m. Wait, are you in Asia, maybe? I think it's morning there. Anyway, I probably talked about that for way too long. But I'm obviously very invested in being able to tell all of that. So, oh, and the other thing too. Oh, Australia. Okay. Case says the way of telling a story is essential to captivate audience's attention, so it is a good idea to let movie producers do it instead of doing it yourself. They have higher budget too. Well, I get that. Are you saying that I shouldn't put it on YouTube then? Um, but Case said, I mean, if you have the chance to sell it, sell it. I don't know how to go about that. I was hoping that, you know, I'm not like necessarily trying to get like a book or movie made. I was thinking that if I put this out there online, people find it, it may get found and something like that can happen. But not necessarily. I guess that's not necessarily what I was trying for, to sell the story. It was just like that could possibly happen if someone saw it online, but I wasn't going to go before publishing it and try to like sell the story. I also don't really know how that would work because, I mean, if they need any kind of agreement from her, they're definitely not going to get it because yeah, this whole thing is about her trying to keep me from telling it. So, I mean, if I make it, I can just make it. I And that's the thing is like she's obviously going to be very unhappy about it, but there's not really anything that she can do because it's the truth. I'm not even really going to opine. I'm just going to be stating what happened, and I'm going to let you guys draw your own conclusions. Case said, I just hope your amazing struggle story couldn't get the point across, or not getting enough attention only because of technicalities. Story flow, imagery, budget. It's entirely possible. I mean, I'm going to do the best I can, but it's not going to be like a documentary. Like it's difficult for me to like actually talk about it. So I'm going to be stumbling through it like I am now. It might look a little bit better with a proper place to film, proper room, proper lighting. But the story, you're going to be able to tell from my body language that it's difficult for me to talk about. So for the most part, I'm going to try, like I said, I'm going to stick to saying the facts. I'm not really going to state opinions on stuff. I want you guys to draw your own conclusion. And I guess as far as views, I mean, I know you guys will watch it. Like live streams usually get 1,000 views. I have a feeling with that kind of story, it's probably going to get shared some. But if it doesn't, that's okay. I mean, I'm not expecting it to go viral or anything. I mean, Nate got like millions of views on his, but that's because he had millions of subscribers. I think most people who watch the channel regularly will watch it, and I think that it's gonna start some engaging conversations in the comments. I don't necessarily know that it's going to like blow up, and that's totally okay with me. It would probably cause more problems if it did. But just knowing that anybody could find it online, it's public, it's out there. Like, that's the point of, Case says, check the local universities. They have film students who would love to take a crack at it for free. I'll check. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird time because it's summer. I'm at a university right now, and they do, well, they cut most of their film program, but they do have a film school still. And there's the Athens International Film and Video Festival, which is, that happens in the summer. And then I'm going to IU, so I'm sure they probably have something. I mean, I can look into it, but most likely it's just going to end up being me posting it here on the channel and talking about what happened. But I'm just trying to think if I did involve any students and if they were wanting to do it. I mean, I don't know, would they do that for me? I don't feel like they would. You know, a topic they might not have a connection to, and like if they were already working on a project on the topic, then I could totally see it. And also, guys, I'm going to get my hair cut to look normal. It's so long. I don't know if you can, oh, you can't even see that. It's so long and so curly. I've just got it pushed back on top. Case said check journalist too, but at the risk of getting it made as documentary. I mean, I don't really want to make it like, I want to make it public. That's important to me. But I don't necessarily need to like go to the media about it and try to get it published that way. Like well, I know she isn't going to agree with this, but I'm not trying to destroy her. And I'm not trying to make her look bad. It's just by the sheer nature of talking about what happened, it's going to make her look bad. Just because of the things she did. But, you know, I'm not trying to go to like the farthest extreme and I don't know. I think it's going to be better if I just tell the story. If I control all of like the production, Case said, just don't mention her name. There's no way you can make her not look bad. I know. And I'm not going out of my way to not make her look bad. I'm not trying to make her look bad either. It's just, I know that what she did is bad. And I know that like other people will see it that way too. So just by telling the story, just literally factually saying what happened, that, yeah, I mean, people are going to see that as bad because it is bad. And so He says, ruin your finances, your job prospect, your time, your Second Amendment right, the psychological torments, etc., but also not make her look bad. If you can do that, you can be a good lawyer for cartels. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess what I mean is I'm just going to tell the story as it is. I'm just going to say what happened. I'm going to talk about, like, how it affected me emotionally, how it affected me in other ways, like finances, reputation, that kind of thing. I'm not going out of my way to make her look bad. It's just, that's going to happen just by talking about it because of what she did. But so I guess I'm saying I'm not going to go out of my way to try to make her look bad like some people would do with their exes. Like, I'm not one of those people where, like, when I leave an ex, I hate them and, you know, I like try to ruin their reputation. I don't do that kind of stuff. But I do think that when people hear what happened, it's clearly just, like, not going to look positively to her. And then you're right. I mean, I'm not intending to put her name out there. I've said there's some things that I just am not going to put in the video because, and it's kind of like the worst of the worst stuff. I'm not going to because I mean, it's embarrassing. I can't even really bring myself to talk about it. And, yeah, so I'm just saying there's some stuff that I won't even talk about, that I'm not going to put out there at all, that would make her look bad. And then the other things are, I really just think that it would be fair for me to be able to tell my story like I should have been able to do all along, whether that be at the first court hearing or the second or during the trial for the lawsuit. But I will say it is the one thing in the world that she wants to stop the most. And speaking of that, and I'll talk about this in the video, you guys probably might know who I'm talking about, but there was a person that kept commenting on here only about her and only defending her. And I'm not going to say why I know that person was her, but because it has something to do with the person's profile and them knowing things that only she would know. But she had been coming on the live streams, like, trying to cause fights. And that was like within the last few months. So anyway, just know there's a huge series coming. I feel like I'm talking way too much about this, but it's just, I mean, you know, you all want me to make videos, and I'm at a point where pretty soon here I'm going to be able to. It's been long enough. And only, you know, she's gotten every opportunity to tell her side, and I still haven't. So I'm going to do that. And I don't care if it's made into a book or a movie or anything. I just want it to be out there. I think that's fair. She's made hers public, and mine should be public too. And yeah. All right, Michael Scott, like, the truth is the truth. Yeah, it is. And I will give her credit where she deserves credit. You know, I will give her credit when she's done something right, or when she has, or like when she has a point in her argument. This isn't going to be me just presenting my side. This is me presenting the totality of what I know and the evidence that I know to exist, whether it's for me or against me. There's some stuff I'm going to put out here that's probably going to lose me some subscribers. Like, people might get upset with some of the stuff I said to her, but I'm going to put it out here because it's like, you know, it's the whole story. And that's all that ever should have been, is that it shouldn't be like her side that where she's an innocent victim, and then my side where, you know, I am. It's like we should have just put the whole truth on the table and sorted it out. And that's what I'm attempting to do. So that'll be made this year. With the move and with all the other stuff going on, I can't say exactly when, but I want to get the entire story told and put up this summer. And then, like I said, I'll add like additional parts to it as I get updates from the courts and that kind of thing. So Case, the way that, so I'll just read this. Case said, I think it should be in a story form instead of bullet points of facts / evidence, because that would turn it into a documentary. So it's not like I'm going to be presenting it as like a PowerPoint presentation. I am going to tell the story, just like I did about my roommate, things like that. Case said, think about stories like Wolf of Wall Street, Molly's Game. If they are in form of bullet points of evidence, they would be boring. Yeah, I haven't seen that second one. I do know Wolf of Wall Street. And I mean, obviously, like, it's not going to be the same because it's going to be me sitting there talking rather than you seeing it all acted out on the screen. But I am just going to start saying what happened. I'm going to talk about how we met and where I was at in life at the time, and then, you know, how the first few years went, the times where I saw things that maybe looking back now should have been red flags. And I'll just start there and go to the present. And in that, there will be some times that I'll put in an email. Sometimes, depending on what is on it, I'll either put it on the screen or I'll have it in my hands printed out and I'll read it out. Ones that I think are relevant and important to the story. And we'll get there. We'll this is 9 years. Well, 9 years plus all the years in court afterward. If that's the case, I would recommend this. You narrate it and get royalty-free footage. It is always better to show than to tell. It would be more captivating. I know it would be, but I just don't have the video editing skills to do that. And this is such a massive project to even film and get this up. Like, it's just going to be like any other YouTuber when they do a story time. It's mostly them just sitting there talking. Like, it's the story that people would find interesting. Like, yeah, if you're going to sit down and watch, like, you're going to want to focus on something on the screen. But a lot of people I know, they don't even really so much watch my videos. They more so like listen to them, almost like a podcast. And I know I do that because I almost always have YouTube on when I'm driving, and I'm not, like, I'll glance at the phone sometimes, but I'm not really watching the video as I'm driving. I'm just listening to it. So, like, I think it's going to have to be more like that, but there will be times where I will put something on the screen that's important to show. Maybe like a picture that I'm referring to or something like that. And as it gets into the later stuff, like into like 2021, and I'm actually gonna start being able to tell you, like, show more stuff on the screen that's more visual. Like when I start talking about our trip that we were supposed to take together, I can show you guys. Like, I can show you the Airbnb we were supposed to be in, and the hotel in Detroit we were going to, and like the different places that we were supposed to go that weekend. and that kind of stuff. It's just with not putting her information out there, I can't put pictures of us together. I can't, like, yeah, I can't do that. So I have to just speak that stuff. And I guess if people find the story interesting enough, then they'll listen to it, even if it's just talking. Actually, in the original series of videos on TikTok, and then the one that Nate made based off that, they're just talking. There's no other visual. And they were pretty popular. People, they watched that. Michael Scott said, I think if you just tell your story, that's the important part. Well, that's what I'm going to do. So, Case says, you have the creative license. That FBI scene from Wolf of Wall Street didn't actually happen, as Jordan said in an interview, but it sold the story. But I'm not going to do that at all. Like, that's like really important to put out here too, is like, I'm not going to make up any of the story. Like you're saying, there, you know, in order to produce that, like there's an entire scene that was added to it. I'm not making anything up. I'm sick of that shit, because that's what she's been doing this whole time, is just making up fake scenarios and telling everyone they happened. So I'm not going to do that. And I could probably embellish the story and make it more entertaining, but that's not gonna help anything. Then I'm just lying. And I'm doing this to put the story out there of what happened. We already know it's going to make her look bad, and I'm not trying to make her look bad by like adding to it. I'm just saying what happened. So that's my concept. Like, I don't want to add. Where are the comments? Yeah, I don't want to add anything to it that's not true. The only thing I would actually be adding is, like, on top of saying, if I have thoughts about it, you know, I can say, like, looking back, like, I kind of think maybe this is what was happening with this. But I just don't want to add anything to it that's not true. Now, just full disclosure, according to her, I lie about everything, always, all the time. So she probably is watching this thinking that it's ridiculous that I would say that I don't want to lie, because to her, everything I say is a lie. So, yeah, I guess there's some people I'm just not going to win over. But anyway, one of the things I'm going to do this week is I'm going to do the list of videos that I need to make this year. Maybe not for the whole year, but like for the rest of the summer and stuff. There's those ones I mentioned about the specific aspects of being homeless. There's the beginning of this series. And I need to make the mid-year videos, which is going to be wrapping up the 6-month check-in for the financial goals. And then I got to do the annual student loan video, which I haven't done in years now, but I need to get back on top of that. So there's a lot of videos that I'm going to be making. It's just a struggle right now with juggling, still being in the car, with struggling financially with actually making the videos, but I have more time now. I have a facility now that it'll mostly work, and I have my ring light with me. So I'm getting closer, and I just need to make that mental list I have. I need to put that on paper. That'll get me closer to being able to film something. The next thing that's going to come up is that vlog from the way home. So the one that is like partly edited right now, I had hoped to get it up before we did this video. That was overly ambitious, but I'm hoping sometime this coming week that I'll have it up. And yeah, it'll just be my drive back and the stuff that I did along the way. And then hopefully early next week, I should know about the fraternity job. So we still got 21 on. I don't see any more comments though. So I'll probably cut it short here pretty soon. I guess we have been on almost 3 hours, but anyway, just know there's a lot of changes coming in my life, and a lot of things to process. But along with that, I should be back to making videos soon-ish. And along with that will be that series that we talked about for probably way too long in this video, but that'll be a part of it. And finally, you guys will understand why I've been gone for 3 years. You know what I mean? Basically gone. Like, disappeared from YouTube other than the live streams for about 3 years because life just got overwhelming. Alright, well, still don't see any more comments, so expect that video sometime next week. And for anybody that's watching this back, meaning after this is uploaded to regular YouTube, you know, feel free to leave me comments. I do read all of them. I'm really bad about getting back to them, but I do read them. So you can do that. And yeah, sometime, I think next week, I should have the vlog up. Oh, Case says, I am off work now. We'll check out the video. I'm not sure which video you're talking about, Case, but I would go to Nate Petrosky's channel. It might be under his name, or it might be called Narrow Way Homestead, and watch his video series, What the Hell Happened. He's got a playlist, but for some reason the parts are out of order on the playlist, so you have to jump around. But if you want to see something like what I'm going to end up making, then that would give you a good idea. All right, well, guys, thank you all for being here. I'm glad we had so many people on today, and still do. Yeah, if you didn't get to make it live, comment down below later, and I will read over those, and then within the next week I'll have a vlog up for you, and possibly, hopefully, for next month's live stream we will actually be inside a building. All right, I'll see you guys then.